Why I trust a 15-year-old Toyota Hybrid more than a brand new EV. Use Toyota Prius reliability. Old Toyota Camry Hybrid versus new EV. Corolla versus EV battery risk. RAV4 Hybrid versus electric SUVs. In 2026, everybody seems to be yelling the same thing. EVs are the future, hybrids are yesterday's technology, Toyota is behind. At the same time, used Toyota hybrids like the Prius, Camry Hybrid, and even old Corollas are quietly racking up 200,000 and 300,000 miles with owners who barely think about them. By the end of this, you'll know the key hidden advantage old Toyota hybrids have over most new EVs, the way they fail, how predictable and fixable that failure is, and why that matters more to your long-term money and stress level than software features or 0 to 60 times. You'll also hear the specific cases where a 15-year-old Prius or Camry hybrid is a bad bet, because no car is invincible if it's been abused. If you want to learn something real about Toyota hybrids, EV batteries, and long-term risk, subscribe, hit the bell, and share this with anyone who thinks you're crazy for even considering an old Toyota over a new EV. Start with what a 15-year-old Toyota hybrid actually is in 2026. A 2009 Toyota Prius, a 2010 or 2011 Toyota Camry Hybrid, maybe a 2011 Corolla as a simple gas benchmark. These cars aren't theory. We've watched them in the wild for a decade and a half. There are second-generation and third-generation Priuses running around with 300,000 miles on the original engine and original hybrid transaxle. Plenty of Camry hybrids have rolled past 200,000 with nothing more than routine maintenance. Toyota's hybrid Synergy Drive is a planetary gear set with 2 electric motor generators and an engine sharing a case. No conventional shift clutches, no torque converter, no CVT belt. It's gears, electric motors, and oil. The big fear people have with any hybrid is the battery. In most 2009-era Priuses and 2010-era Camry hybrids, the pack is a nickel metal hydride battery around 1 to 1.5 kilowatt-hours usable. In moderate climates where the car is parked in shade sometimes and vents aren't blocked, these packs often last 10 to 15 years and 200,000 or more miles. In very hot climates where the car lives in sun-baked parking lots, the pack degrades sooner, maybe at 8 to 12 years and 150,000 miles. The important part is how that battery fails. In a Toyota hybrid, battery failure is usually gradual. Fuel economy drops, the engine runs more often, the battery gauge swings faster between high and low. Eventually, you may get a check hybrid system warning. Most of the time, the car will still drive. You have time to make a plan. In 2026, a brand new OEM hybrid battery for a Prius or Camry hybrid is typically in the $2,000 to $3,000 range installed at a Toyota dealer. Rebuilt or third-party options are cheaper, with trade-offs in lifespan and warranty. That's a lot of money, but it's a defined number. It's usually not more than the car is worth. Now compare that to a modern EV. The traction battery in an EV is often 40 to 80 kilowatt-hours or more. It's deeply cycled on every drive. Thermal management has gotten much better compared to early Nissan Leaf days, but age, fast charging, and sustained heat still matter. If an EV pack loses 30 or 40% of its usable capacity over 10 to 15 years, real-world range may drop from 250 miles to 150. For many drivers, that crosses from no problem into range anxiety and constant planning. A replacement EV pack out of warranty can easily be $8,000 to $15,000. On a mainstream EV, that can exceed the residual value of the car. That kind of failure tends to be terminal from an economic view. The battery is so much of the car's value that when it does, the car isn't often worth saving. So the first big reason an old Toyota hybrid is attractive is the nature and scale of the battery risk. A Prius or Camry hybrid's battery is smaller, cheaper, and its failures tend to be manageable. An EV's battery is huge, very expensive, and its failure can write the car off. Next, look at how the engine and mechanical systems age. In a 15-year-old Prius or Camry hybrid, the gasoline engine has spent most of its life operating in a fairly gentle way. The hybrid system lets it run at efficient RPM and load bands. It doesn't have to handle all the acceleration by itself. The electric motor does a lot of work at low speeds and when pulling away. There's no harsh gear shifting, so a hybrid engine with 200,000 miles that has had its oil changed reasonably often looks and feels healthier than a similarly aged engine in a pure gas car that has been revved hard from cold starts for years. The same idea applies to the transmission. A Toyota Hybrid doesn't use a traditional automatic. The eCVT transaxle is a simple planetary gear arrangement with electric motors. When you change the fluid at least once in its life, you don't see the same kind of clutch wear or hard shift failures that you see on a lot of multi-speed autos. There are Prius taxis in Europe and North America whose original transaxles have outlived multiple engines or body rust. Bring the Corolla into the picture. A 15-year-old Corolla with the 1.8-liter naturally aspirated engine and a conventional automatic or early CVT is about as simple and cheap to run as it gets in the modern era. Many mechanics will quietly tell you that a used Corolla is the default safe choice if someone can't afford surprises. It doesn't have a hybrid battery at all, but it does share Toyota's conservative approach to engine and drivetrain design. The later Corolla Hybrid extends that same simplicity with Toyota's hybrid system. By the early 2030s, a 2020 Corolla Hybrid will be the same kind of safe buy a 2009 Prius is now. On the EV side, motors and single-speed gearboxes are mechanically robust. You avoid all the traditional internal combustion engine maintenance. No oil changes, no spark plugs, no timing repairs. That's a real advantage. Where EVs pay a price is weight and torque. A compact EV can weigh as much as an older mid-size SUV. That mass rides on wheel bearings, suspension bushings, control arms, and tires. Combine that with instant torque, and you often see more rapid tire wear and more frequent suspension work. It's not catastrophic, but it shifts some of the cost burden into areas hybrid and gas owners sometimes overlook. Now talk about daily life in 2026. If you have a house, a garage, and a 240-volt outlet, a new EV fits nicely into daily commuting. Plug in at night, wake up with a full battery. But many people don't live that way. Apartment complexes without dedicated charging, older urban houses without off-street parking, rural areas with sparse DC fast charging. In those situations, a 15-year-old Prius, Camry Hybrid, or a Corolla is extremely practical. You get 40 to 50 miles per gallon and can refuel anywhere in minutes. There is no dependency on public charging uptime or peak rates. For a lot of people, that simplicity still matters more than owning the latest technology. Resale and depreciation tell another piece of the story. A 2009 Prius or a 2010 Camry Hybrid that's been maintained is worth a few $1,000s. It's at the bottom of its depreciation curve. If you buy one in good condition, do a hybrid battery at some point, and keep up with basic maintenance, you can often sell it in a few years for not much less than you paid, especially in markets where cheap, reliable transport is always in demand. A 15-year-old Corolla with a clean body and decent engine also has a stable used car value. By contrast, some early and midstream EVs have already seen heavy depreciation as newer models with more range and better fast charging come out. A 2018 EV that originally had 150 miles of highway range and now effectively has 100 miles of range in winter is a much harder sell than a 2009 Prius that still gets 45 miles per gallon all day. Software and repair access are another area where older Toyota Hybrids and Corollas have an advantage. A 2009 Prius or Camry Hybrid has electronic control units, but they're well understood. Aftermarket scan tools can talk to them. Many independent shops know how to diagnose hybrid issues, or at least work alongside specialists. Parts are plentiful in salvage yards and aftermarket catalogs. Many newer EVs are heavily software locked. Features depend on subscriptions, diagnostic access is tightly controlled. Over-the-air updates can change how the car behaves with little user control. 10 or 15 years into the future, nobody can say with certainty how each manufacturer will support its older EVs. A simple, older Toyota Hybrid or Corolla is much less dependent on an ongoing corporate relationship to keep functioning. There are, of course, bad 15-year-old Toyotas, a Prius that has lived its entire life in a 115-degree climate, parked on blacktop, never had its hybrid battery cooling fan or intake cleaned, run with old coolant, and perhaps overheated once or twice is not a car to rely on. A Camry Hybrid that has been run low on oil for years is no better than any other neglected car. A Corolla with severe rust in the floor or suspension mounts isn't saved by the batch. For an old Toyota Hybrid or Corolla to be a smart choice, it still needs to be a good example. Solid maintenance history, no major crash, no flood damage, no repeated overheating, and no current hybrid system warnings. Given a good example, though, an older Toyota Hybrid or Corolla is a known quantity. Millions of owners and mechanics have already done the 15-year, 200,000-mile experiment for you. We know how long the engines last. We know how and when the batteries tend to fail. We know inverter and transaxle failure rates. We know what it costs to keep them going. With many EVs on sale now, that long-term picture is still sketchy. Some platforms will end up being fantastic at 15 years. Others won't. It's too early to know which is which with the same confidence we have about Toyota hybrids built in 2009 or 2011. That's why, in many real-world cases, a 15-year-old Toyota Prius, Camry Hybrid, or Corolla still deserves your trust more than a brand-new EV if your priority is predictable long-term ownership, not just being on the bleeding edge. You're trading a little bit of fuel efficiency and the theoretical simplicity of an EV for a very well-understood, thoroughly field-tested, gracefully degrading hybrid or gas platform. If this helped you see past the hype and look at actual long-term risk, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown, and share this with anyone who insists hybrids are dead tech. I'm GearHead Genius. Every car has a story. The smart move is choosing one where we already know how the ending ends, not just how good the trailer looks.